Bonjour et bienvenue à la nouvelle édition de français pour les anciens étudiants d'espagnol. Vous aurez besoin de votre cahier, bien sûr, et un stylo ou un crayon. Puis, tournez à la prochaine page. So please turn to the next page in your notebook. Pour moi, c'est la page 48, but please, as always, use whatever page works for you. So, comme toujours, la date, c'est aujourd'hui au bof. C'est le 30 janvier 2017. So, it is now 2017. Welcome to the new year. Et aujourd'hui, on va discuter les verbes pronominaux. So, these are called in French les verbes pronominaux. In English, they're called reflexive verbs. Reflexive verbs. And you will remember that you dealt with reflexive verbs in Spanish, and they looked like this. You might remember, let's do llamarse. To be called or named. And you'll remember that llamarse had two parts, llamar with this little se part on the end of it. And what ended up happening with that is that you had to deal with two parts of the verb. The first part was the reflexive part, so me, and then llamar I would conjugate as normal, llamo. Te llamas, se llama. Nos llamamos, os llamáis, and se llaman. Okay? And remember, because me llamo, and for instance, for me to say me llamo Kelly means my name is Kelly, is how it's translated, but it actually means I call myself. And you'll remember that reflexive verbs are actions you perform for or to yourself. Okay? For instance, getting dressed, putting on makeup, shaving, washing up, things of that nature. Now, a reflexive verb has two parts. Reflexive verbs have two parts. Two names, two parts. The first part of a reflexive verb would, of course, be the reflexive pronoun. One. Part one, the reflexive pronoun. And a reflexive pronoun, or un pronom réfléchi, has to agree with the subject of the sentence. Has to agree with the subject. And what does that mean? It means that whoever's doing the action is doing it to themselves. So you can't say, you call me. You say, you call yourself. We call ourselves. If we're calling them, the verb is no longer reflexive. A reflexive pronoun has to agree with the subject. And then two, the reflexive verb, the second part of that, of course, is the verb part. Conjugate as normal. Whatever you are going to do to that verb, do it the exact same way you would do it under any other circumstances. In our Spanish example, we have llamarse. Llamar is a regular AR verb. Once we've taken the reflexive and agreed it with the subject, we have now conjugated the verb exactly like every other AR verb you have ever seen. Bonus. In French, most of the verbs that are reflexive are also regular ER verbs. So let's take a look as to how does that look in French. Because I need a little bit more space, I'm going to move up to the top of the next page. And I am going to use the verb, se laver. Se laver. It's a lovely reflexive verb. It means to wash up or to wash oneself. The true measure of a reflexive verb is if you can somehow change your translation to include oneself. Okay, to amuse oneself, s'amuser. S'habiller, to dress oneself. Se brosser les dents, to brush one's teeth. Okay, so that you are doing it to yourself. If you can add self in there, it's usually reflexive. So the first part, of course, is that we're going to write in our subject pronouns. Unlike Spanish, we can't leave those out. So we have je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il pluriel et elle pluriel. Okay? And how this works is we need to find the reflexive. The reflexives are pretty easy. You've seen most of them before. Me, te, se. If it's se for il, it is also se for elle and on. Se, se. For nous, it's nous, because nous is a multi-purpose word in French. It's kind of weird to say nous, but that's actually grammatically correct. Same thing with vous, vous. And then we have il and elle pluriel, and they take the exact same reflexive pronoun as the singular. So again, so. So that's the reflexive part. That's the way it is for all of these. And then you're going to take this verb, se laver, and you're going to take the verb part, laver, which is a regular ER verb. I'm going to drop the ER. I'm going to add my verb stem. Remember, the verb stem is what's left over after you have dropped the ER, IR, or RE off the end of your verb. Okay. Je me lave, tu te laves, il se lave, elle se lave, on se lave. Why am I adding these endings? Because this is an ER verb, and you'll remember that our ER verb endings are S, O, N, S, Z, N, T. These are verbs. Okay? So these are regular ER verbs. Now please note, not every verb that is reflexive is a regular verb. I'm going to actually show you an irregular verb in French. It's fairly common, and it is one of my favorite verbs in all of the French language, and I'll explain to you why in just a moment. My favorite reflexive verb in all of French is s'asseoir. S apostrophe S-S-E-O-I-R. S'asseoir. And you'll remember that any war verb is always irregular. But I love the verb s'asseoir. The verb s'asseoir is to sit oneself down. So to sit down. And what I like about it is it has the word ass already in it. So it's to sit your ass down. Now, of course, that's not very polite to say, but it's a great way to remember this verb. However, this verb is the most screwed up verb ever because it has two accepted ways of conjugating it. So here we go. We have je m'assois, tu t'assois, il, elle, on s'assoit. Nous, nous assoyons, assoyons. Now please note at this point, this E is in here. Am I forgetting the E? I am. Assoyons. Vous, vous assoyez. Now please note, folks, I could very well be spelling this wrong because it's been a really long time since I've looked at this. Assoyez. And il and elle pluriel s'assoit. Okay? This is the one that's used less frequently, which is why I'm probably spelling it wrong. And then there's the alternate and more usual conjugation of this one, which is je m'assieds, tu t'assieds, il, elle, on s'assied. Nous nous asseyons. Vous vous asseyez. So you may hear your professor in class say asseyez-vous or assieds-toi, and so they're saying sit down. And because it's something that you're doing for or to yourself, you're sitting yourself down, it has to be reflexive. And then we have il and elle, pluriel, s'assied, I think. I can't tell you the last time I actually saw this one written. Okay? So, things you need to remember. So, special rules. Or special considerations, as the case may be. Special considerations. Okay, consideration number 1, of course, is the vowel rule. Me, te, and se become M apostrophe, T apostrophe, and S apostrophe before a vowel or silent ash. Before a vowel or silent ash. Okay? Numéro 2. Commands. Actually, let's talk about negatives first. Negatives. Okay, when you're making a verb negative, like se brosser les dents, he does not brush his teeth. So let's start off with il se brosse les dents. He brushes his teeth, or he is brushing his teeth. Se brosse is the entire verb here. Subject, verb, remainder of the predicate. And as you know, your negatives go on either side of the verb. In this case, they must go on either side of the entire verb unit. So, il ne se brosse pas les dents. So he does not brush his teeth. Subject, verb, remainder of the predicate. Okay. 3. Questions with inversion. And questions with inversion. And you'll remember from our video on questions, there are 3 ways of asking a question. Inversion is the most complicated one. So we'll keep this as our sample sentence. Il se brosse les dents. So he is brushing his teeth. What if we want to know, is he brushing his teeth? So again, your entire verb unit must stay together. Se brosse-t-il les dents? Because you'll remember that your verb and your subject pronoun have to switch places with inversion, and you need this hyphen T hyphen in the middle because your verb is an il, elle, on form verb ending with a vowel. Number 4. Last one. Commands. Now, if you have a reflexive command, something that you're supposed to do, like you are sitting down, vous vous asseyez. You sit down. When you have a command, you drop the subject and you keep the verb. Well, here's the problem. My verb has 2 parts. What am I going to do? I'm going to take the verb and I'm going to put it front and center, beginning of my sentence. I'm going to take this reflexive and I'm going to chain it to the subject with a hyphen. Asseyez-vous. Okay? So sit down. Okay, that's a positive command, and let me give you the other two that go with that. Nous asseyons. We are sitting down. So how about let's sit down? Asseyons-nous. Remember, you have to keep the reflexive. It has to go after the verb, and it has to be attached with a hyphen. Now here's the last one, and that's tu t'assieds. You sit yourself down. And if this is a command, I want to tell you, sit down. And again, I'm going to take the verb, assieds, and I'm going to hyphen this. But I can't hyphen it to a T apostrophe, and I can't hyphen it to te. So it's going to be toi. Okay? So te changes to toi in a positive command. Okay? How about negative commands? Negative commands! Negative commands are easy. We'll call this 5 since we're up here. 5 negative commands, l'impératif négatif, negative commands. Well, how about if we don't want you to do that? Don't touch that. Don't do that. Don't look at that. So how about if I tell you don't look at yourself in the mirror? Tu ne te regardes pas dans la glace. So how about you are not looking at yourself in the mirror? I chose this one specifically because it is an ER verb. So you remember with ER verbs, when we have a command, we drop the S off the negative command. Off the command. So in order to change this into a command, I need to get rid of the 2. So I'm going to get rid of the 2. And then this just stays just exactly the way it is. Ne te regarde pas dans la glace. Don't look at yourself in the mirror. And remember, with a negative, with any ER verb command, we drop the S. So how about something else? Nous lavons pas les mains. How about we are not washing our hands? You'll notice that this doesn't say our hands, it just says the hands. In French, if you're using a reflexive verb, it's assumed that you're doing it to yourself. So any body part that you mention is your own. Nous lavons pas les mains. So again, we're going to get rid of the nous. And so ne, nous lavons pas les mains. Let's not wash our hands. That's a little bit weird. And then a vous command. How about oh, bof. Vous ne vous parlez pas. You are not talking to yourself. Ne vous parlez pas. Don't talk to yourself. So that's pretty much how reflexives work. You need to remember that reflexive verbs have 2 parts, the reflexive and the verb. The reflexive has to agree with the subject, and you treat the verb the exact same way you would treat that verb in any other instance. You can see here we've conjugated it regularly. We've changed it into a to command for an ER verb, which means we have to drop the S. We've done all those regular things that we would normally have to do. Okay? Bon ben, à l'indice. C'est aujourd'hui ou bof, le 30. 30 janvier à 17. Les verbes pronominaux. Verbs with pronouns, basically. And you can put reflexive verbs. And c'était 48 jusqu'à la page 50, je crois. 50? 51. Oh, bof. Beaucoup de notes. Okay, so many notes. Très bien. Au revoir. Merci.